Hello, everyone. The clip you're about to hear is from one of our exclusive Patreon episodes, and like all of those episodes, it may contain spoilers, so consider yourself warned. If you like what you hear, head over to patreon.com/horrorqueers to listen to tons of bonus content. And now, without further ado, here's your exclusive Patreon clip.
This is a movie that I do think was maybe mismarketed, because I don't know if you watched the trailer for this movie.
I haven't in a very long time, but yeah, I went to see this opening weekend, and I didn't realize it was going to be comedic, and I do remember dumb young me having a bit of a problem with it.
Yes, and I think now if you're like, oh, it's a Sam Raimi movie, you know exactly the type of movie you're going to get. But the trailer for this was promising. You know, Sam Raimi returns to bring you the return of grueling terror, and
yeah.
I do think there are scary parts in the movie, but it's more of those like kind of a roller coaster, fun, thrilling, scary.
Yes.
And I recommended this movie because I worked at Blockbuster when this hit DVD, and I recommend this to so many people who were looking for a really good horror movie. And
oh, did you get returns?
Oh, I mean, like they returned it after they watched it, but they said it was one of the stupidest movies they've ever seen.
Oh, fuck off.
Well, it's one of those things where I was like, I would say this every time. I was like, but you know, it's intentional, right? And they're like, what? And I was like, well, when the goat started cussing her out, did you think it was not aware of how stupid that was?
Yeah, even when I had problems with this on a first time watch, that goat, that exorcism/seance scene to me just absolutely sells this movie. If you don't have fun with that, I don't know what the fuck you're doing watching this movie.
And to be, I mean, you know, maybe because this prologue is also kind of like, this is intense. We send a child to hell in these first 2 minutes of this PG-13 horror film.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and that's the thing that people always forget, right? Is that this is not an R-rated movie, and yet this movie goes fucking hard.
I mean, even this first jump scare right here, like the sound, the wind, like the Foley work of this dad getting smacked around, like Jesus.
Yes, I debated seriously whether or not to make a drinking rule that every time somebody gets hit in the face.
Yeah.
If you did want to take a drink, we have seen a fly buzzing around, but you know, mileage may vary. There is a lot of bugs and shit in this movie.
But that's a pretty important fly, because it's kind of like the calling card for the Lamia.
Mm-hmm. Question for you. Do you wish that we saw more of this creature, or are you happy with the kind of spectral appearance?
I'm kind of happy with the spectral only because it seems that they never intended to make this a practical creature. So seeing more of it would be seeing more of the, I'm just going to say it, dodgy CGI in this film.
Yeah, it's weird that this is 2009 and, you know, we just covered a pair of 1999 films on the main feed with Existence and The Mummy, and those movies are struggling in parts with some CGI. And this movie is a full 10 years later. And I would argue some of the CGI almost looks worse.
Yeah.
But I think it's because it's a struggle, right? Like some of this is, there's a mix of practical stuff and then there's a mix of CGI. And I think that it's a hard line to balance.
Well, I will say this to you, and like I'm going to choose to believe this was very intentional on Sam Raimi's part. By the way, love these opening credits, so that we actually have an opening credit sequence.
Yeah. That's
telling the story of the Lamia too, so it's not just like we're reading credits. But I would say that the cartoonish look of most of the CGI in this movie helps it get that PG-13 rating, because there are parts of the movie that feel very Looney Tunes-ish.
Yes, the part with the anvil.
Which we actually see eyeballs fly out of an old woman's mouth and into the mouth of our heroine, which I think if that looked realistic, that would have not made it into a PG-13 film.